Yo, what's up guys, it's me Jake here, and today we're going to be doing another voiceover video. I'm going to be doing one of these like maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, and today's topic for this video though will be Shonen versus Seinen. Now, if you don't know, these two demographics are very probably well known to you guys because they're the biggest demographics when it comes to manga collecting and just manga in general, so I wanted to be talking about the differences between the two so you don't get mixed up. Not only that, I'm also going to be talking about my preferences when it comes to Shonen and also Seinen, what I like more about each demographic. So yeah, let's just get straight into this video. Before I even start this video though, I want to be talking about the series that are in between Shonen and Seinen. Now these can be like Chainsaw Man, Hell's Paradise, Attack on Titan, and JJK, as these series really just show the kind of in-between of Shonen and Seinen, and it's really interesting to see how more Shonens are going for a darker, grittier kind of type, and I really do enjoy it myself. And yeah, these two different demographics have kind of been a little bit meshing together as of lately, as they're showing more grittier Shonen that are at the line of really being near a Seinen. But before we get into that, I'm going to talk about the real differences between a Shonen and a Seinen. To start off, we're going to be talking about how the demographics are really chosen, and this is because of the magazine they are published in. But mostly when you think of Jump, you'll think of Shonen Jump, but they always have a Seinen magazine called Ultra Jump and Young Jump, which I don't know which one is which, but I think one of them is the monthly Seinen magazine, and one of them is the weekly Seinen magazine. And with these magazines, it really determines what kind of demographic the manga is in, because if it's in a Seinen magazine, like Berserk or Vinland Saga or Gantz, they were all in Seinen magazines, while if you look at other series like Chainsaw Man, Attack on Titan, Black Clover, all these things are in Shonen magazines, making their demographic either Shonen or Seinen, which is something that many people don't really grasp that well, but I will say that that is the main focal point of how to determine if it is a Shonen and a Seinen. But to go a little more in depth about Shonen versus Seinen, Seinen really usually have darker themes, as Guts in Berserk really has a very dark revenge theme, as in Shonen they really don't have these darker themes. Now, some Shonens, like, as my friend Dice had said in one of his videos, One Piece with Fishman Island does really heavily deal with the concept of racism, and even Beastars even deals with the concept of racism, and both these things are both Shonens, but they don't always just focus on that one point throughout the whole entire series, as more Seinens will actually focus on these more darker themes a lot more often, and they will also show more darker things like the inside of a human body, and Shonen will not really show a man get cut in half, and if they do, it's most likely not going to be shown their guts, like Golden Kamuy and Berserk sometimes do. It'll show it in a more discreet way, as Seinen really don't care about making their art discreet. Now, I'm not going to show a panel because that can be pretty dark, so I'm not going to show off a panel of someone's guts just dropping out of their body, but that's something that Seinen do a lot more than Shonen, and that's not even the only thing, because even Seinens have the less dark Seinens, like Blue Period and I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. These are two Seinen series that really don't go into those super, super dark themes, even though I Want to Eat Your Pancreas really does deal with the theme of loneliness a lot when you think about it, but it doesn't go into dark themes like racism, like One Piece has or Beastars has. It doesn't go into those darker themes, as some shonens might have darker themes than some seinens. Like Attack on Titan, for a great example, once you hit the Marley arc in Season 4, it has way darker themes than a lot of seinens out there, but that does not classify that just one season as a seinen. It classifies it still as a shonen because it's in a shonen magazine, and that's one reason that people just get things mixed up, is because they don't really focus on what magazines things are in. And while we have to talk about the differences between shonen and seinen, we have to talk about some series that went from seinens to shonens and vice versa. A prime example of this will be Dorohedoro. It did start off for quite a long time in a seinen magazine, but when it ended in a shonen magazine, constituting the ending as a shonen while the beginning as a seinen. Now, you might not believe in this, but when you think of Dorohedoro, it's going to be a mix of shonen and seinen because of the magazine swap it did have. It went from a seinen magazine to a shonen magazine, constituting it as a mix. Or if you think about it as Hell's Paradise and Attack on Titan, they never switched off a shonen magazine, making the whole series a shonen, and that does not mean that these darker, grittier shonens can be considered a seinen at all, and the demographics can't really change unless there's a magazine change. So that happens quite often in manga when you really think about it. But to get off the topic of what classifies things as shonen and seinen, and more about what really is the big thing in this video, shonen versus seinen, and what I like in shonen and in seinen. And one thing that I'm going to say is most shonens have better fights than most seinens, and most shonens have better power systems than most seinens, as most seinens take a more realistic approach, while most shonens take a more unrealistic approach. And what do I mean by that? Most shonens really have like a magical kind of power system, while most seinens really don't have that. When you look at Vinland Saga and Berserk, yes, Berserk has kind of a magic system, but when you think about it, Guts is not really using magic, as he's using his own physical strength, and that's not something that really does happen when it comes to most shonens. Most shonens will have power systems like Black Clover with magic, or One Piece with Delph-Root and Haki, that make it so it's a more unrealistic kind of feeling, and making it so the fights can be way more hard-hitting, as when a huge fight happens in a seinen, it kind of feels more like an epic battle, because these battles in seinens technically can usually happen. Like, most Vinland Saga fights can happen in real life. Now, some of them can't, like Thorkel kicking Thorfinn a million feet in the air, and stuff like that, that's unrealistic. But when it comes to most seinens, they have way more of a realistic approach, which is something that really makes these kind of more hard-hitting, as you really can relate to these seinen characters way more than shonen characters. Yes, that the shonen characters might go through similar struggles as you, but a lot more seinen characters have more realistic traits that can be related to way more easily, as shonen is more to turn your brain off half the time and really get indulged with a lot of cool epic moments. And yes, I am a huge shonen fan, so don't get offended by this, people who love shonen as well. I love shonen, but to think about it, seinen is way more realistic and way more relatable, and that's something I like about seinens. And I've been getting more into seinen as of late, and I've been really seeing the differences that shonen and seinen do have, and it's really interesting to me, as I see that these characters are going through way more realistic struggles than other characters. Yes, when it comes to Guts in the Golden Age, it's not a realistic struggle, but a lot of the things that Guts has to go through before that struggle can be seen in real life, and that's why Guts can be seen as a relatable person, because a lot of the struggles he has before Golden Age ends is really just realistic struggles that anyone can go through. While if you look at a different character from a shonen struggles, a lot of their struggles are way less realistic, as like Ichigo, when one of his friends gets stolen by the Espada or the Soul Society, and he has to fight through an army by himself or with a couple of friends to get through that army and to get their friend back, and is a less realistic struggle compared to like what Guts goes through when he's a kid, with him getting sexually assaulted and other things of that nature, being a way more realistic struggle that people might have in the real world, which is something that I think that is very impactful about seinen. They have way more realistic struggles than shonens, but shonens have way better fights and power systems, so it's a real big difference on what you're really trying to look for. And what I mean by that is when you're looking for something super epic and super kind of mind-blowing, you would probably look at shonens, because shonens have a lot of more epic moments. But when you're trying to look at something to be more relatable and way more kind of thought-provoking, you'll most likely look at a seinen, because seinens have those kind of thought-provoking themes that they can really use in their disposal. But if you were to ask me what I do prefer, it really depends on the day, because a really good shonen can be way better than a really good seinen for me, and vice versa. So it really depends on what kind of feeling I am having. Do I really just want to get hyped up, or do I really just want to think about realistic struggles? And that's something that is very noticeable in my top 2 manga, because my number 2 and number 1 flip-flop almost every week, being One Piece at number 1 and Berserk tied number 1. It really depends on the day for me, because some days I'll be wanting a thought-provoking thing, and I'll have Berserk at my number 1, and some other times I'll want an epic moment at number 1, and I'll have One Piece there, because One Piece epic moments are amazing, and One Piece emotional moments are super amazing as well, and same with Berserk. The emotional moments in Berserk are also pretty great, but One Piece I think has some of the best emotional moments in all of manga, so I'm gonna stop talking about those two for a second and just say, it really does depend on what you're feeling. If you want something hype, you'll most likely like a shonen more at that moment. But if you're looking for something more realistic and relatable, you'll probably look at a seinen. And the pacings for these two are pretty equal depending on the series, because pacing really depends on the series, not really demographic. And storytelling, I would definitely give it to seinens, even though some shonens, like I said earlier, One Piece, have amazing storytelling. Like Beastars and One Piece are amazing kind of examples of this, with amazing storytelling. But it's way more common to see better seinens have a way better storytelling, because they can have way more things at their disposal, as they have way more darker things that they can really go into than shonens. And another reason for this is because shonens usually have kind of one of the same exact tropes of them wanting to be like a number 1 hero, or the wizard king, or the pirate king, or anything of that nature, as seinens really don't have a trope like that. They all follow different things, and a lot of seinens, yes, they are revenge stories, but that's a very different kind of trope than a number one hero or a wizard king or a pirate king or a Hokage. It takes a very big different twist on it, making it way more in-depth about why they need this revenge and what they're doing to take their revenge on these people, as this leads to a lot more deeper meaning into their stories. Now, I think that's it for this video. I think I talked a lot about what makes a different shonen and what makes a different seinen and why they are both better and worse than the other one. So if you guys liked this video, please go down there and hit that like and subscribe button. And if you like my voiceover content, please leave that in the comments down below, because I want to learn how I can improve, and I'm probably going to make one of these every 1 or 2 weeks. So I kind of want to see what I can do and see how I can push the boundaries of these videos, because I really kind of enjoy making them. It feels like a big accomplished finishing one. So, and that should be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope I see you guys next time. Peace!